The Sengoku era, Japan's age of warring states, it was a time of chaos, betrayal, and ambition, where samurai battled not just for land, but for survival itself, and amidst the bloodshed, one man quietly helped shape the future of Japan. His name, Sakai Tadatsugu. You might not hear his name as often as Honda Tadakatsu or Ii Naomasa, Tokugawa's flashier warriors. But make no mistake, without Sakai Tadatsugu, Tokugawa Ieyasu's rise to power may never have happened. Born in 1527 in Mikawa province, Tadatsugu came from a family that had served the Tokugawa lineage for generations. His childhood name was Kohaiji. By the time Tokugawa Ieyasu was born in 1543, Tadatsugu was already a teenager and already proving his loyalty. Back then, being a retainer wasn't just a job, it was a blood pact. You didn't just serve your lord, you lived and died for them. As a Fudai retainer, one of the hereditary vassals, Tadatsugu was more than just a samurai. He was practically family to the Tokugawa clan. His ancestors had even intermarried with the Matsudera line. When the young Ieyasu, then known as Takachiyo, was sent as a hostage to the powerful Imagawa clan, it was Tadatsugu who personally escorted him. And it was then that he made a quiet vow to protect his lord with his life. That sense of duty became his driving force through the darkest years of the Sengoku era. In 1560, after the death of Imagawa Yoshimoto at the Battle of Okahazama, Ieyasu, then still using the name Matsudera Motoyasu, began asserting his independence, and as always, Tadatsugu was at his side. He wasn't just a thinker, Tadatsugu could fight. At the Battle of Sekigahara, he held off 2,000 men led by Shibata Katsui, one of Oda Nobunaga's top generals. Later, at Nagashino, he led a stealth strike that helped secure one of Tokugawa's greatest victories. Tadatsugu was Ieyasu's left hand, his strategist, his shield, and his closest advisor. But get this, he also had a hidden talent, party tricks. Yes, really. Tadatsugu was famous for his comedic performances during banquets. He would sometimes dress as a woman and dance to lighten the mood. It might sound silly, but it worked. War was exhausting, emotionally and physically, and sometimes laughter was the best morale booster. Ieyasu once said, "Tadatsugu's dance can heal a battlefield's worth of stress." It wasn't just a joke, it was strategy. And his greatest strategic moment? The Battle of Nagashino in 1575. The castle of Nagashino was under siege by 15,000 Takeda troops. The Tokugawa-Oda alliance responded with 38,000 soldiers. But before the main battle, Tadatsugu proposed a surprise attack. At a war council, he suggested striking the Takeda supply lines first. Nobunaga scoffed publicly, "Tricks are for fools. If it fails, we'll be the laughingstock." But after the meeting, he quietly pulled Tadatsugu aside and whispered, "Your idea is solid. Take 500 matchlock gunners and go." That night, Tadatsugu crossed the Toyokawa River under the cover of darkness, and by dawn, had surrounded the enemy's rear camp. His surprise attack caused chaos. 7 Takeda commanders were killed, including the uncle of Takeda, Katsuari. This strike turned the tide of the battle. Later, Nobunaga praised him, "You must have eyes in the back of your head." Tadatsugu wasn't a flashy hero, he was the kind of man who quietly made victory possible. What made Tadatsugu so formidable wasn't brute force, it was balance, tactical, emotional, and political. Even enemy commanders like Takeda Shingen respected him, calling him wise, loyal, and dangerously subtle. In war, he knew when to advance and when to retreat. In politics, he spoke when necessary, and listened more than he talked. And yet, he wasn't afraid to challenge his superiors. At Nagashino, even when Nobunaga shut him down in front of others, Tadatsugu stuck to his idea and it paid off. That kind of quiet confidence made him invaluable. But let's not forget he could still make an entire room laugh. His party antics weren't just for fun, they were social glue, morale boosters, and subtle acts of diplomacy. Some say his performances kept samurai from defecting, others believe he used humor to gather intel during banquets. That's the thing about Tadatsugu, everything he did on and off the battlefield had purpose. He passed that mindset to his son, Sakai Tadatsugu, who later became a top Tokugawa statesman in the Edo period. The Sakai clan eventually ruled the Shinai domain in northern Japan, and remained powerful all the way through the 1800s. Fast forward to the Bakumatsu era when the Tokugawa shogunate was collapsing. A man named Sakai Genba, Tadatsugu's descendant, rose to fame. He earned the nickname Oni Genba, Demon Genba, for his ferocity in battle. Facing overwhelming odds, he led the Shinai troops against the Meiji government and won, again and again. The blood of Sakai Tadatsugu was still alive, burning on the battlefield centuries later. So what did Tadatsugu really leave behind? Not castles, not monuments, but a blueprint for how to lead without shouting. You don't need to swing a sword to change history. Sometimes, it's enough to stand your ground and never waver. In 1590, as Tokugawa moved to Edo, Tadatsugu quietly stepped back from the front lines. He had done his part. He spent his final years in Kyoto, away from war and politics, but even then, he quietly advised the next generation of Tokugawa leaders. It's said that even in retirement, Ieyasu relied on him for insight. Tadatsugu died in 1596 at the age of 70, peacefully, by all accounts, and fittingly without fanfare. No grand tomb, no famous death poem, just legacy and loyalty. And that's how it should be. Because Sakai Tadatsugu wasn't just a samurai. He was the kind of person every great leader needs, a strategist, a confidant, a friend. And his story is more relevant than ever. In our world full of loud voices and flashy heroes, we forget the power of the quiet ones. The ones who solve problems without drama. Who support others without asking for credit. The ones who dance at the party so others can laugh just for a moment. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever supported someone else's dream without applause, you're walking in Tadatsugu's footsteps. He teaches us this: be loyal, be wise, be yourself. Even if no one's watching. And when the time comes to act, do it with courage. Even if history forgets your name, you will have made a difference. Sakai Tadatsugu may not be a household name, but his story is a quiet roar through time. And that roar is still echoing.